G'day people, welcome to Perth WAtch. Today's review has come out of a poll which I put out on the socials not too long ago. YouTube had the most votes and the San Martin 62 mass won that particular poll. So that review has been released. When I counted up the votes from all the other socials, including Facebook, Instagram, as well as the remainder from YouTube, the one that came out second is this one, this piece from Second Hour Watches in this particular travel case. Now, Second Hour Watches is a new Australian company based in Melbourne. They are going to launch on Kickstarter very soon their inaugural piece, which is the one I will review today. They have a goal of releasing great design and premium quality watches at affordable prices. So let's see whether they in fact will achieve their particular goal. So guys, let's just flip the camera around and take a look at this rather good piece. Alright guys, so here we have the case on the table. This is kind of a suede feeling travel case, which I don't know if this is how it's going to be presented. This is a prototype that I will have to return, but it would be quite interesting if they do provide a practical travel case. I always appreciate these types of accessories. Okay, so just a typical watch travel case that you've probably seen iterations of this before. So I'm just going to unbuckle that and let you guys feast your eyes on this particular piece. So this is the Second Hour Gin Clear Diver. Gin Clear, I believe, is in reference to crystal clear seawater, which is the perfect desired conditions for diving. That's where the name, I think, comes from. So the indicative MSRP of this piece, they have stated, is 570 USD. But if you sign up for the Kickstarter on super early bird, it will start at just under 400 USD, which makes it, I think, much more compelling. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, coming out in April is the current target date. All right, so first up, let's talk about the movement in this watch. So in here is a Swiss movement. It is the Sellita SW200-1. So all the stats down the left of screen there that you would have seen before if you are quite into watches. So in this case, the rated accuracy, -10 to +30, this watch is actually very, very well regulated, and I like to give credit to them for actually regulating it to that accuracy. And if they keep that up in their production models, I think there's good things to expect from them. The quick set date in this case implemented on the window on the 3 o'clock position. You can see there. In this case, it is framed by a steel bother. It is gold tinted in this particular model color variation. And just to note that this watch also does come in a number of other variations, including a white dial, a blue dial, as well as a kind of off-white cream dial. You can look at this on their website if you want to see more details on their proposed models. Back to the date window, the date is actually black writing on a white disc in this case. Okay, so let's just talk about the dimensions now. So the case here is 41.5 millimeter in diameter, and that's the actual case body. You can see the bezel, hopefully you can appreciate it sticks out beyond the diameter of the case. So the bezel is actually 42.5 millimeters if you measure just the bezel itself. Thickness, actually they've achieved a pretty good thickness of 13.2 millimeters to the top of that dome crystal there. And that's actually fairly slim for a watch of this size. I quite appreciate what they've done here. 22 millimeter lug width here with a lug-to-lug distance, which is fairly classical at 48.5 millimeters between my thumbs there. The overall weight of this watch, with a few links removed, is 173 grams. So, it is actually fairly substantial. You're not going to forget that this is on your wrist. Finishing wise, okay, let's just talk about finishing. The bezel is actually polished with a coin edge, you can hopefully appreciate. The top of the case is longitudinal brushing, as is the side of the case, right? Longitudinal brushing. That transitions into circular brushing on the actual bottom surface of the lugs. And then you can see the edge of the screw down case back is a polished finishing there. Right, that case back is quite solid, and just let you see the details there. So it is actually an embossed turtle style, a turtle motif there, right, with that screw down solid case back and an etched branding on the crown there. The water rating they've given this watch, or they've gone for, is 200 meters. So, sufficient for the vast majority of us. All right, let's talk about the dial now. So the dial here, as I let the light play on it, you can see the sand texture. So this is a black sand dial with embossed details, and hopefully that comes through the brand, the second hour, as well as the Gin Clear Diver automatic and water rating at the bottom have kind of a 3D embossing here that stands out above the sand surface of the dial. The chapter ring is printed around the periphery, as you can see there, and then it does have applied steel indices as well as that date window frame that you can see at the 3 o'clock position there. The hands are polished gold tone baton style hands, right? In this model, it's gold tone. In the other models, the black and the blue, I think it is actually steel. It's got a red tip for the seconds hand with a rather unique counterbalance that you can see. It's that kind of like star of the second hour company logo. And it's got matching indices and date frame that you can see there in gold tone as well. Lume wise, it's got rather good BGW9 lume on all the usual spots. So the 11 indices, the 3 hands, as well as a full loomed bezel in this case. And because of the unusual indices, meaning the 12, 4, and 8 are the ones that are larger, you get a rather unique lume signature. And of course, check out the lume shot I will post right here for you guys to see how it glows in the dark. Okay, so surrounding the dial is a 120 click unidirectional bezel with a ceramic insert. Okay, so let's just see how it sounds. So, relatively quiet. That's 10 clicks. 20 clicks. Okay, so 120 click unidirectional bezel, and that's kind of what you would expect in a dive watch, or at least dive style watch of this design. Okay, on top of that, on top of the dial is a domed sapphire crystal with what they describe as 5 layers of internal anti-reflective coating. Moving on to the bracelet then. So the bracelet is brushed H-link, which starts at 22 and tapers to 18 millimeters. The clasp body itself is 21 millimeters wide, if you're interested in that. The finishing transitions to polishing at the sides. It has solid end links, which you may have spotted already. And then pleasingly, they've actually implemented screw link adjustment for this particular bracelet, which I really like to see that in Kickstarter watches from micro brands. Really enjoy seeing these higher grade features being implemented. The push button release clasp, right? You can see its push button is milled, right? You can see it's not just a press piece, it's actually milled, and it's got 6-point micro adjusts. And despite the fact that it's brushed mostly, I appreciate also that they've included a polished bevel edge there. So they've gone and put that extra effort there. The deploying arms are fairly solid, and it's got that extra keeper there. All right, so that's the entire description of the watch. Let's just slap it on the wrist for the wrist shot for you guys now. And there we go, the second hour Gin Clear Diver on my 17 centimeter wrist. Remember, it's a 41.5 millimeter case, 42.5 millimeter bezel with a 48.5 lug to lug distance there. And it's okay. It's a large watch, but I think for my size, it actually carries all right for me. Okay, so what can I say about the Gin Clear Diver? I think overall, this is a pretty solid package. You're getting the SW200 movement, pretty good quality finishing, sapphire crystal, a full lume ceramic bezel, which I really appreciate, 200 meter water resistance, and a pretty well done bracelet with class there. I gotta say, this is not bad at all. It does show originality in several elements, particularly that nicely done sand dial, the different indices, the 12, 8, and 4 o'clock standout indices there. And it's got a handset that's not bad, particularly the counterbalance on the second hand there. The bezel is pretty good quality. I like the full lume. The actual fit is pretty good with hardly any backplay. And I like that they achieve 13.2 millimeter thickness here. So a lot to like about this watch, in my opinion. What weaknesses can I point out? Well, look, I feel that I'm kind of nitpicking, really, to pick out anything bad about this watch. I think, you know, for a tool diver, drilled lux is always appreciated. So that would be a step up if they gave us drilled lux. That would be great. In terms of the color, well, let me know. This is perhaps a bit subjective, but is there one too many tones on this watch? So you got the black and white, or I guess black and steel, which is the main tones here. You got the white of the lume on the dial with the hands. You're getting the white on the, you know, the writing, the second hour, as well as the writing on the dial. And then you get gold tone. Okay, you're getting gold tone on the hands, the indices, and the date window there. You got red on the seconds hand tip with the water resistance rating on the dial there. And then, right, tell me what you think, right? They haven't actually added any faux patina, but because of the processing, I'm not sure it's going to come out here. It comes out better in outdoor light. The bezel white is actually slightly off-white, you know, slightly different to the white of the indices on the dial there. So that's another kind of color tone. Is that one too many tones for you? Would you prefer just plain steel hands and indices? Let me know your particular thoughts on that. I know some people would prefer that. Okay, so that's it. In terms of the value proposition, the last point I would say, at the full price, 570 USD, I think the value proposition is more challenging because you're getting a lot more competition and a lot more watches, which also include Swiss movements. If you're getting the early bird price at around 400 or less, I think the value is much, much more compelling, needless to say. All right, guys, that's it for my comments. Let's flip the camera around now for the wrap up. So guys, there you go. My review of the Gin Clear Diver from Second Hour Watches. A rather good piece, I have to say, with a lot of good things to like about it and very little to gripe about, to be honest. So guys, let me know your thoughts on their inaugural piece, launching on Kickstarter very soon. Keep an eye out on the links below. I will try to update it as more information comes to hand. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.